she lost two adult sons to the lockdowns and the economic impact it's had. And for any of the mothers out there, it doesn't matter if your son is an adult or a child, they're still your son. And they're coming after our kids. I hope you know that. An mRNA injection should never be given to children, ever. I like to talk about science because that's my favorite thing. And what the cells in a children's body are supposed to do is they're supposed to grow. They're supposed to make bones, muscle, help develop the brain. No child should have any cell in their body producing spike proteins. Ever. From the very start of this idea that you were going to inject people with something that would trick the cells in their body to produce something that is not human, a non-human protein, is wrong. Scientists should have known better. This is over 40 years of genetics and cell biology. They should have known that you should never try to trick the body to make something non-human. And now they're coming after our kids. And it makes me so sad to think about the children who have had injections, because I don't know what lies ahead for them. I've never seen anything like this. I've seen adults with the injections with things that I've never read in any textbook. The best I can describe it as vasculitis and blood clots. I don't know what's going to happen to children in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. When the children should be growing up in the prime of their life, starting families, having children of their own, I don't know what's going to happen after 20 years of the mRNA injection, tricking their body to make things that are non-human.
Absolutely.
This is sick. It makes me so upset to my heart to see Health Canada, Dina Hinshaw, all these health ministers pushing the jab on our kids. This is criminal.
Absolutely.
I see a lot of people here, and you all look like warriors to me. And what do warriors do? They protect the children. That's what we have to do. We have to bring honor and pride to those of us who have departed, those dearly departed who are no longer with us because of this fake pandemic. Let's make those souls proud. Let's protect our kids. Let's end this madness.
Absolutely.
I'll be at the back taking questions. I have all day. Actually, any questions anyone wants to yell at me. Ivermectin, it's amazing. Yesterday I met the 95-year-old who I wasn't sure of. She went back to her nursing home, so her regular part. So that's 3 out of 3.
How do you get it?
Ivermectin, if you want to get ivermectin, I'd say the best bet is to make friends with a farmer.
Somebody got horses.
We got plenty of those.
I have one bottle. It's the same bottle from Rimby, and I give it out to anyone who needs it.
You can buy it online.
Yeah. Make sure if you're ordering from overseas, you ask them to package it as something other than ivermectin, because I did hear one story of someone who had ordered 1,000 doses of ivermectin, and not Transport Canada, the Customs and Borders of Canada destroyed the whole shipment. They didn't hold it, they just destroyed it. So make sure if you're ordering from somewhere else that they put it in a package of toilet paper or something.
What's the proper dosage? Nobody voted.
If you're sick and you're having trouble breathing, it's a 0.5 milligram per kilogram of your body weight. If you're not sick and you're just trying to take some ivermectin to avoid getting sick, it's 0.2 milligrams per kilogram once a week.
Thank you.
Should you do that though? Should you take it?
You know, usually I tell people, try and leave your body as natural as possible. I mean, if you've had a lot of severe pneumonias before, you have a lot of lung problems, then maybe it might be helpful to take a prophylactic dose, a low dose once a week. But while your body's healthy, while your body has the strength, follow nature as much as you can. That means sunlight in the winter, sunlight in the summer, good food, and vitamins if you need it.
ACDC.
Explain why ivermectin works.
It's a very strange thing how ivermectin works, and I actually don't know how it works on COVID-19. There's a bunch of different theories, but yeah, it's very difficult to explain molecular biology-wise why ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine work. One group of researchers studied the genetic code and what proteins would be made from that genetic code in this COVID-19 virus, and they found something that looked like an ivermectin-like receptor, which is kind of unusual to have in a naturally occurring virus. So we know this is not a naturally occurring virus. Nothing natural at all.
Biowarfare.
Patients. Do you think that you and the other doctors and healthcare workers would start like a private clinic or another hospital or something?
There's a really good group. They're working in BC, Alberta, and they're starting to get a foothold in Ontario. They're called Ezra, and they're starting out with nurses. They're unemployed nurses who've been kicked out of hospitals because they wouldn't get this experiment. They're getting together to start a separate parallel healthcare system. And so that's what we need to do. Because you can't trust the government with your health.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I watched the video that the doctor said that once you take the shots, they had it under microscope, and it was reducing the oxygen in the blood once they took his Pfizer shot. Have you seen anything like that? Maybe you're...
I don't have a microscope or a lab, so I can't speak to anything that people have seen under the microscope, but again, I can tell you what I've seen with my eyes in patients who've taken the shot, and there's weird conditions, there's situations that happen that I've never read about, and I was a real nerd, so I read all the textbooks. So if I haven't seen it before, I haven't read about it before, it's something brand new. And to make something brand new in 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years of human history, it's pretty unusual. So,
Is there safety in
Your body after the vaccines.
I'm not the best person to ask about that. There's many other doctors who know more about vitamins, detoxing if you've had the vaccine. I'm just an emergency doctor, so a broken leg, great. Heart attack, great. Stroke, but weight loss, general health, I'm not the best doctor to ask about that. There's other people who know more than I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
safety and dangers in homemade quinine?
Homemade quinine, I don't know. I guess depends what you use to make it. I heard quinine was originally from citrus peel, so grapefruit rind. So theoretically you could make your own. Don't take too much.
Thanks for your honest. Why are so few doctors speaking up? And
Yeah, that was
what can we
tonic
do
water.
to get more of them?
That's a very good question. Why so few doctors are speaking up, and it does bother me a lot. It does bother me a lot. I think part of it is fear, because in Alberta you're not allowed to practice medicine unless you have a license from the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta. So being under investigation like I am, that means I can't work in the emergency department. And if I'm like a full service rural doctor, because they often work in the emergency department and they see people in the clinic, losing your license means your patients don't get taken care of in the hospital or even out of the hospital. And you know, even if it's for something like a broken hip or just a regular pneumonia, again, you know, you're going to lose all that. You're going to lose all that for your patients if the college decides to tell you you're not allowed to work.
What about natural immunity?
Natural immunity is the best.
Yes!
And for
God-given immunity.
your body can do things that science can't.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what makes me so upset about this spike protein vaccine. It's a spike protein vaccine that's supposed to make an antibody to one part of the outside of the virus, one nubbin. All the virus has to do is change that one nubbin on its coat. It's like changing your socks, and then the virus is back in business. It is the stupidest idea for a vaccine ever.
Right on.
For videoing and stuff, can you maybe outline your credentials so people won't discount you?
Well, I'm a medical. For people videoing, to outline my credentials. So, I graduated McGill with a degree in physiology and cell biology. So I know a lot about genetics, cellular biology, cellular evolution, all the basics. And then after that, I went to medical school at Dalhousie, got my medical degree, and I worked, and then I did some extra training to become an emergency specialist. So those are my credentials.
Thank you.
How about one more question?
What is the difference between human and animal ivermectin, and did human ivermectin win the Nobel Prize in 2015?
So the difference between human and animal ivermectin, I actually don't know. I think it's the same thing, but that's a question best to ask a pharmacist. You know, as far as chemicals go, it should be exactly the same. So it might be what the flavoring or the substance that they put into the rest of the bottle, but
Because what you used was the exact same ingredients, right? The pharmacist checked.
the
right?
pharmacist checked and said this is the exact same thing a person would get, his grandmother would get, or he would take himself. So,
Thank you.
any other questions?
Are you gonna do something about Fauci? The States?
I should. I got to break through the border though.
Now, I mean, the
You
international
have to do it before the
Court
8th of
Justice
November.
should do something about that clown because he came up with a gain of function.
Oh, this is this is like when you think about it. Let's look at this philosophically. There's a lot of religions in the world that talk about chimeras. And what's a chimera? A chimera is a mixture of different organisms. Even if you can do that, you shouldn't. And what Fauci, his team, his gain of function team did was they took naturally occurring viruses and then they made chimeras, combinations of different viruses. And what did they do that for? Well, what does DARPA do anything for? To make things that kill better. So the whole, if you want to talk about Kant, Immanuel Kant talked about something called a priori. And that's the intention with which you do something has an effect on the result. So the intention, if you look at the history of American biowarfare or international biowarfare research, because some of that goes on in Winnipeg here in Canada, the intention is to make something that kills. That's the point of bioweapons research. So when you put that intention into advanced science, advanced genetics, advanced cell biology and research, eventually you will make something that's deadly. And now here's where I get a little bit religious, because no matter what evil mistake, what misdeed in life and genetics that man does, nature fixes it. Because however deadly that virus started off as, natural evolution makes anything deadly milder. It tames the beast. So the virus might get more infectious, but it has no interest in killing you, even if it was made to kill you. This is nature's forgiveness. And what makes me mad about this vaccine is about 400 years ago there was a monk, and he did experiments on pea plants. And one of the experiments he did was called a back cross. So a back cross was when you had a line of pink flowering pea plants, and you wanted to make red or white ones, which generations and generations ago the pink pea plants used to be. So what he did was he took the pink pea plant and he bred it with another red or white pea plant, and then it recreated the original red or white pea plant. So what are we doing here with this vaccine? Well, if you believe what they're saying, that the mRNA in this vaccine is the same mRNA from the original Wuhan strain, you are doing a genetic back cross. So that means when you get a coronavirus that has already been made mild, been tamed by nature, and you mix it with the original strain from Wuhan, the one that was supposed to be deadly, you are doing a genetic back cross. This is 400-year-old genetics. Everyone should have known this. So when you're mixing the original strain with the mild strain, you are recreating the original deadly strain. This is unspeakable evil.
Yes.
You talk to the spike proteins?
Spike proteins, clinically speaking, I've seen them cause blood clots and perhaps vasculitis, which is inflammation of the arteries and veins. But other than that, I don't know much about spike proteins specifically because I don't have a lab to deconstruct them. But what I have seen happen in people is they get blood clots and inflammation of their arteries.
Are they transmissible?
That's a good question. If your body can make and spread a whole coronavirus, of course you can create and spread something that's 100,000 times smaller, which is a spike protein, which is just one part of this coronavirus. And that's another reason the whole concept of this vaccine is just absolutely wrong.
Have you seen women having reproductive issues already?
Not yet, but I'm in the emergency department most of the time, so I don't deal with obstetrics or do reproductive medicine. Yes.
I participated in, Gina
Use the mic. Use the mic.
Last week Dina Hinshaw had a
Yes.
town hall for women, like fertility, and I thought I'm going crazy. The doctor there, she said, yes, vaccine affects periods.
Yes.
She said it clearly. I was like, but then she goes, oh, it's okay, it's no concern. I struggled with infertility, and the first thing the doctor would ask you, and very detailed, like your periods, like everything, they would go, and it was very important. And I met few doctors, and everybody was like, the periods is number one concern when you have infertility. And then they said it it was on the phone. Yes, it does affect periods. And so I tried, so I got on hold, I got into a queue, and I was going to tell them, I was going to ask, and the moderator is going, so what is your question? And I'm like, I know what infertility is, I dealt with it, and the periods were always an indicator, always, like you have changes in the periods, there was always concern. And he goes, right away, Oh, the queue is so, the line is, there's so many people who want to talk, who want to ask questions. I don't think you'll get through.
Of course.
The one thing I can say too about obstetrics and pregnant people is throughout my career, I've never known obstetricians to ever push an experimental or new medication on pregnant women. Because pregnant women, like I remember when I was doing obstetrics as a part of medical school and residency, I was afraid to give patients Tylenol. Because before you give anything to a mother who has a fetus in her,